We write together for a quarter a century, and the first show he writes with someone else is gonna be the biggest hit he ever had. Am I bitter, Larry? Yes.
Ethan, I'm going to start with you. Your partnership with Richard Linklater, the director, goes back 30 years and 9 movies. So tell me the story of how Blue Moon came to be and this role of Lorenz Hart.
Well, it's kind of it's unlike, every project has its own weird life. Rick is friends with this writer, Robert Kaplow, who's a brilliant man, who sent him this kind of document. It was kind of unclear whether it was almost one monologue, but it was more like a short story told in voice, so to speak. And Rick sent it to me. He's like, isn't this a staggering piece of writing? And I read it and I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I was like, this is a movie. Because it was all centering about this night of Oklahoma's opening. And it was imagining what Larry Hart was thinking about as he lost his greatest collaborator and knew he was probably left into the trash mill of history. And Rick and I just started geeking out about how this could be the most amazing movie set in one time period. And so we met with Robert and read the piece out loud and talked about it. And then Robert kind of turned that into a screenplay. Then we met and did a reading of it again. I wanted to do it right away. Rick thought I wasn't old enough yet. And I was like, all right, fine. And so over a period of about 10 years, he would talk to me and we'd do a little reading and talk about it. And then 6 months later, Robert would send a new draft. And slowly what felt like this giant mess of roses turned into this beautiful garden of roses. It was orchestrated and clear and had a beginning, middle, and end, and turned into one of the best screenplays I've ever read. But it was really fascinating to watch the process of it be developed.
For over 20 years, Hart and his partner Richard Rodgers created a string of hits.
I want 10 copies of that.
Write me a check.
Such as My Funny Valentine, The Lady is a Tramp, and Blue Moon.
Bobby and Andrew, what was it like? What intrigued you about telling this story of an artistic breakup between Rodgers and Hart?
Well, I mean, I love the theater. I've worked in the theater for a long time. Well, you know the names, but then when you really dive into that story, it's a compelling story. It's a human story, and that it's set in the backdrop of the world of Broadway theater. An opening night, opening night is filled with so many different kinds of emotions, right? There's anticipation, there's dread, there's excitement, there's so many things that your body goes through. I've been in opening nights where everybody is so excited, and then the review comes out, and then the room clears. Yeah. And to be able to reproduce that and to do it with artists of this caliber is it's just a no-brainer, right? And Ethan and I have a great history together. In the theater, and Richard's one of the great American filmmakers, so it was an easy yes.
But I think obviously the people involved, the cast and Richard Linklater, obviously you just got really excited to get that call. But I think what was really unique about this one was the form that it took. I just thought, wow, that's going to be really, really special. And I think maybe I was excited because I, like Bobby was saying, I would just know those kind of evenings, and just to be able to get that represented on screen, because you just don't see those kind of evenings represented in that way, and in a cinematic way often. So it was a total thrill. Also, it was shooting in my hometown. What's not to love?
It got me thinking about big breaks, last breaks, heartbreaks. I don't even know the story for the three of you. You can go down the line, and Andrew, you can start it off. But what was your biggest break? I mean, all three of you have been in front of the cameras for years. Ethan, you've been around since I was in high school, junior high.
My biggest break was when I was very young. I was about 18. I got a couple of auditions at the Abbey Theatre, which is our national theatre in Ireland. And they were sort of in a row. Like two things, and I ended up getting two jobs all of a sudden. I was really, really young. Like, my dad used to pick me up, and I'm sure the company members were like, "Who is this guy? Who's this little?" Anyway, and that's what it was, because I was able to get an agent out of that, and so I was sort of working off the bat. And I was in college at university at the time, and I ended up dropping out to become an actor, and I was just sat in awe. That's what I would describe as a big break, even though nobody came to see the plays.
Yeah. Mine is really obvious to me was Dead Poet Society. It was just that's what you call a huge break.
Yeah.
You go on for this big audition. Thousands of young people are auditioning. You end up getting one of the parts, and the movie turns out to be a really excellent movie through no credit of my own.
Wow.
But it was Peter Weir, and that changed the course of my life. What was your big break?
You know, I was I had my first son very young, and he was like 4 years old. I was quickly approaching my 30s, and I still hadn't had a break, and I was still working in bars, and I was an audition reader. I was all over town, and I got cast as an understudy in this Feydeau farce called The Flea in Her Ear, and a week after opening night, one of the actors got a role in the Spice Girls movie, and I went on. And this TV producer, John Wells, saw me in it, and I got a television show. And that was like, I wasn't working in a bar overnight. It was just like that. And that started everything for me in terms of
God bless
work.
the Spice Girls.
Yeah.
God bless the Spice Girls, yeah.
You saw me standing alone
Wise guy.
without a dream in my heart.